Welcome back. It's episode 30, segment number 3, and we're getting ready to sit down with Amy Richardson from the Savvy Realty Group, who has been a proud sponsor of our podcast since its inception. So first and foremost, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And we know we've got the best. We know we've got the best.
We do have the best.
Yes.
So we're going to hit on
that.
4 things today and maybe more, but we're going to talk about the new build that's taking place down there in Upper Canyon, the fire station that's going in, the new builds. Maybe we'll get into ADUs, but we're going to start with the fact that it's a buyer's market. And you were just telling me over there at that table here inside Vero Pizza that this is only the 4th time in how long this is
25 years.
4th time in 25 years it's been a buyer's market.
Right. Yes.
So, okay, to the layman, why is that special?
Well, I mean, really, it's because sellers have been used to kind of getting their ways for the last,
How
10
many years? Yeah,
really.
right.
And before that, it's really been kind of up and down, but more sellers than buyers. So, again, other than the 2006 to 2008 that we all have kind of PTSD from that buyer's market, if you will, this is more of a natural buyer's market happening. We have a lot of people who have the golden handcuffs, right? They are mortgage rates of under 5%, and they're saying, why do I want to leave that? What's going to make me decide to leave that? I don't want to, trade my less than 5% mortgage for, 7, 6, even 6.75. It's not causing those people to decide to truly move. So the people who are trying to move, they're starting to list, but the competition is getting tough because the buyers aren't really wanting to reach. They want a good competitive home. They want what they want, and they're driving those prices down because there aren't very many of them.
Yeah, interesting. I was just also reading, and I saw on a television show this weekend about the rates, and economists had a different perspective on it. He actually talked about the percentage. He was saying 65% of the overall market has rates in that 5% that you were saying, and so that's a huge thing. And so, but they were painting a more positive outlook. They believe these rates are going to creep down, and as soon as they get down, they're saying it gets close to that 5%. It opens up that whole window to where, at least when it's in striking distance, where okay, it's close enough, it's not going to make that difference. A lot of those people will jump off the fence. So these economists were saying they're not that far off, maybe a point and a half off the rates for really things to hum. And
Correct.
They say it might happen this year.
I think that's a little aggressive.
That's what he was saying.
I think that, the Fed's meeting right now. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern will be the projections, and then half hour later the announcement by Powell as to what they're going to do. But really the projections aren't looking like much is going to happen this year. It's going to be pretty steady. I mean, we're lucky if we get to 6.5 this year, I think.
It seems like there's always 2 types of buyers. There's the buyers who have to care about the interest rate because maybe they're more interested in the investment. And then there's people who hey, look, my job relocated me to Phoenix. I have to buy a house. I don't care what the rates are. I need a home.
Yeah.
And so speak to that a little bit. Those are 2 different groups.
Yes, and Phoenix compared to the national market is actually fairly strong. So, I mean, we can talk about what Phoenix is doing and say, oh, well, we're up 43% in active listings in Phoenix compared to last year. That's huge.
Wow.
So that's the buyer's market, right? But we also still have an in-migration of people who have way more expensive areas, San Francisco, LA, Seattle. These are still migrating, right? So we do have a strong market. We're not saying that, our market is in dire straits. We're saying that there are more active listings than there have been, and the buyers finally have a bit of an upper hand.
Are you finding a difference between the luxury piece and just the average market as well?
I would say luxury is faring better right now than the lower level because they're less tied to the interest rates. They're going to take from their investments. They're going to probably say right now, okay, with the volatility in the market, the housing market's actually a great investment right now while it's down.
Right.
So there's a lot of people moving into those $1 million spaces and over versus the ones who are really tied to that affordability factor with the interest rates.
What could buyers be asking for right now that they maybe couldn't get away with 2 years ago, 5 years ago?
Well, honestly, a concession to try to buy down their rate. A lot of what's going on in the market is maybe prices aren't, careening downwards by any respect, but there have been price drops as well as incentives such as seller concessions that are offered by the sellers who really want to sell their home. You know, if their home's sitting on the market for 30 days, they're going to consider, okay, well, maybe I'll offer a 2 or 3% concession to buy down someone's rate so that they can afford to buy this house.
What about things like inspections and some of that other stuff? Are you seeing things like that being waived now?
No.
No.
I mean, the inspections aren't being waived. If anything, buyers are being able to ask for more than they were during the time when a seller would say, you know what, move along, you're too difficult,
right.
next.
4
you
people
know.
in line, right?
Right. Now it's
They're
a little
holding
different.
their hand and walking them in the house, right?
Yeah, basically. And
Yeah.
again, like I said, you have seller concessions for either rate buy downs or for corrections, whether it be the roof, like we talked about last time, or
ACs, yeah.
ACs, expensive items.
Boy, I hope that that wasn't. You're saying these rates aren't going to go down this year. I hope that's not the case. I really want them. Me personally, I'm not in the market, but I just want to see. I could just see that if it even gets close to that, the robust. I mean, there's so many people. People want to upgrade. See, that's the thing is like those are the people that are on the fence. I think it's every 6-7 years, people just move. They just want to. Whether it's here or there, even in their same community, they want to move sideways, upways, and those people are not
Right.
going to make any moves until those rates get closer. So in that regards, I just hope they get a little closer because I think there's that whole other piece that'll be like, okay, now it's time for us to get that home we saw down the street.
Can we talk a little bit about Upper Canyon and the fire station? For people like me who live down here in the foothills, and I know you've lived in the foothills for 20 years, I go on my hike now, and it's just tractors and grading, and the parking lot that I used to park my car is no longer there anymore. That's getting ready to be a fire station. What can you tell us about this new development?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of information out there. If anything,
Really?
we're all we have a few articles that have been written. I've tried to get some more information, but really the biggest thing that we know, obviously, that was the 373-acre state land trust that was purchased for $105 million by Blandford Homes, and they're building over 1,000 single-family homes.
Wow.
But Pulte and D.R. Horton are also involved in this project. So I think only about 250 are going to be by Blandford, and then 350 each for Pulte and D.R. Horton. And then there's also some multifamily rentals that are going to go into this master plan community as well.
Interesting.
So it's going to be it's kind of a master plan community project, and there's projections as to whether or not there's going to be community center, pool, spa, hot tub type scenarios, pickleball.
Any apartments?
Well, they're
those-
just calling them the multi-family rentals right
there
now.
you go.
So yes, I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
apartment.
I wonder if this area here is this. Are they gonna build up shops too? Is this gonna become the
I
epicenter?
mean-
There's a lot. That's a lot of homes.
That is a lot more people, right? So I mean, hopefully, right now, I feel like Ahwatukee has trouble, getting enough people in the places that we have. Hopefully, it will cause more people to want to come because more
I hope
people
so,
will actually
yeah.
be able to go. And
Do you think retail is a part of the equation?
I mean, not as of right now,
Yeah.
but that's always something that comes later. You get the people first,
Right.
First
And then the
infrastructure,
demand.
then the demand.
Well, I'm sure
and-
Vero's happy. They'll come down here.
Right.
This is the Shack Out Pizza right down the street.
And selfishly, I agree with, I want to see all of these places
Do well.
just really, really flourish. We're staring across the street right now at a complex that it seems like has been vacant since I moved here. A couple of the
Right.
places, restaurants change titles every couple of years, and it would be awesome for a huge influx of people to come and support these local businesses and
Right.
keep everything in our backyard. I do wonder about
Agreed.
the impact of our schools.
Well, our schools are down population right now, so it would actually be helpful for our schools.
So maybe it would work
Yeah.
out in that
Okay.
regard. What do you know about the fire station?
Well, I know I think it's supposed to be finished by the end of this year.
Crazy.
I know, and it's supposed to be one of the most advanced stations in all of Phoenix. It has, I think, 13,000 square feet, and there's the helipad for the medical rescue that's going in there, which is a nice. We're gonna,
Interesting.
yeah, we're gonna have.
because we're right there where people need to be rescued all the time.
Well, I think that's one thing. So I guess our response times are supposed to be one of the best in Phoenix.
We're just gonna have to get used to the sirens.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's hope not. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully
Keep
we
them
don't
off
need.
until you get to the area.
We like to have it there, but we hope we don't need it. Right.
One thing that we didn't talk about when we were speaking on Upper Canyon was the fact that Ahwatukee as a whole doesn't have a lot of new builds.
Right.
And there aren't a lot of, almost all the homes are built in the 90s down
Yeah.
here. Maybe,
Well, people have been waiting for this has been
long
talked
time.
for years.
Yes.
Over a decade, I know.
Right, and I know for my own self, like the house that I live in, every house that I look at, everybody is time for a new roof. Everybody's needs new AC.
Yeah.
Everybody needs new windows. Like there's a lot of things that come with having a home that's dated
Right.
a little bit. What's your vibe on how excited people are about the new build in Ahwatukee?
It'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, one of the things that that will give sellers a run for their money is because a new build community, they can offer lower rates, they can offer
yeah.
incentives, they can get people in the door because they have a lot more flexibility in that than a regular resale seller. So it'll be interesting to see what it does to our pricing. Obviously, those prices, I think they're going to start between the 600s, somewhere in the 600s. They haven't yet
My goodness.
nailed that down. And then they'll go up to $1 million, between 1,700 square feet and
It's going to
just
become an
over
average home now.
4,000.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if anything, it will, for a while, it will provide some interesting seller issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is unbelievable how expensive it's gotten to live in 85045, 85048.
Yes,
Like it's
I agree.
become. We must be one of the top 5 zip codes in the state.
4 or 5 is.
Yeah, it actually is, because there's lots of $1 million homes
yes.
there. And not a lot of inventory.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. And you would know after doing your magazine for however many years
Yes,
where
I do
it
know.
ranks, and so that's
High.
that's actually
High.
back to
4
you.
or 5 is right up there.
Yeah, I would
In
think
the whole
we would
state.
be top 5 in the whole state. Only
yeah.
Paradise Valley, maybe. And
There's
Scottsdale.
249 and actually Chandler in the East Valley is one of the higher ones now, where they're like that Fulton Ranch area they're developing. That's a higher end area, but yeah, and Scottsdale and Flagstaff actually has some of the highest real estate in the state.
Yeah.
sucks. I want to move. I want to have a house in Flagstaff,
Oh,
but like I can't
good-
afford one here and there.
Good luck.
Although I
mean,
don't like driving up the 17
I
freeway.
know. But they're widening that
Yes.
thing now, and when that gets done, I cross my fingers that it's going to be a little bit more of a peaceful drive.
And
up
flying
and back.
cars are coming now pretty soon, with the Waymos, right?
Exactly.
Is there anything else you feel like the audience would be better off knowing today? I mean, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think some of the interesting stats are, 24% of the population that's buying is actually a first-time home buyer, whereas it used to be about 40. And the median age of the first-time home buyer has gone up to 38.
Holy
I know.
smokes!
That's huge.
Well, how
So
could
it's
you
just
afford-
showing affordability factors, right?
$600,000. I mean,
Right.
who is a 30-year-old
Right.
You're right.
couple going to afford
And
that?
so that also has led to, casitas, ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units, are a big thing because there's a lot of multi-generational.
Yeah, let's end on that. What is that?
There's a lot of multi-generational considerations. People are moving in with either aging parents or the adult children are coming home to stay because of the affordability factor. People are just deciding to, extend the family and live together. 17% of buyers purchased multi-dwelling type of units. And
Is there a
that's the
big
highest.
inventory of that kind of thing already?
Well, not as much as we would like, obviously, but the city of Phoenix just created legislation that allowed people to add an ADU or accessory dwelling unit into their backyard. You can actually add up to 2 if you have less than an acre, and you can add a 3rd if you have more than an acre. And that is supposed to allow for affordability, multi-generational living, even rentals, something to allow for more people to be able to afford
like
a
I was
home.
saying, wheeling a tiny home, just drop in the backyard, right?
And it makes a lot of sense, right? You think about how big that baby boomer generation is, and a lot of those people are aging into a spot where, like, it's either throw them in, something else or a home or something like that, or put them in your backyard and keep
Right.
living with them. And so that's why you want to be good to your kids. Yeah,
That's very true.
you want to be good to your kids, so they put you in the backyard, not in the home. Yeah. Outstanding. Thank you so much, Amy.
Absolutely.
And so before we go, what would you say contact you? What would you say about listings or buyer's market? Are there one that you're concentrating on more? Are you
I take care of both, obviously, and I think if anything, you make sure that you have somebody who's good at negotiation, that helps with staging, because right now, being more competitive with your house, making sure that it's exactly what it should be for a buyer when they walk in the door, and make sure that somebody has experience in the industry. So.
Yeah, I like the word that she uses, savvy.
Yes.
Like, to me, that's the kind of agent that I'm looking for. Somebody's a little savvy, because that word speaks to, like, I can ebb and flow, and I can kind of do what's necessary. And what she just said, only 2 out of 5 buyers walk into a house and see it for its full potential. And so that's where somebody like you comes
They
in.
require savvy solutions.
That's right.
why
Important
she says it.
decisions require savvy solutions.
That's
there it
it.
is.
And
That's
so, anyways, not because she supports the show, but the reason why Amy in Savvy Realty are part of the show is because she is one of, if not the best in this area, who's lived here and knows the area. So again, I would encourage our audience, if you're in the market, to contact someone like Amy, who's knowledgeable and can
there.
give you the real scoop on what's going on. She shared
you.
a little bit with that. So thank you, Amy.
Appreciate it. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me on.
Hell of a show today, Steve.
Yes, packed.
I mean, just so much goodness. Thanks to Dr. Will Moreland. Thanks to Hayden Connor. What an exceptional young woman she's in, and she's just got a bright future ahead of her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Amy Richardson from Savvy Realty Group, Keystone Montessori and Tutor Doctor, and, of course, our host podcast facility here at Vero Pizza.
Yeah, and again, like what really an episode of really how we all of our guests are very integral in Ahwatukee, and I hope the audience finds us very entertaining, because I certainly did, and it was just again touching all different spots like we did. Love it.
All right. See everybody for episode 31 of our Move the Needle podcast next time.